I have 88 loops all around. Right now I'm on the wrong side of the work and I have to knit the first row, but before that, let's play markers on our raglan lines. Let's take a look at the diagram before placing our markers for raglan lines. So overall we have 88 loops for the front, back and 2 sleeves. We know that in front we have 2 straps which are 16 loops each, and it leaves us with 32 loops for the front. We'll have 4 raglan lines which can be 2 loops each, and that's another 8 loops. So for the back and for the sleeves we'll have 48 loops left. Then we'll use a formula. We'll divide 48 loops by 5 parts. We'll have 9.6 and we'll round it up to 10 loops. This formula tells us to give 3 parts for the back and 2 parts for the sleeve. So we'll have 10 loops for each sleeve and we'll have 28 loops for the back. So first pair gonna be after 16th loops from the start, from here. Next pair of markers I'm gonna place right beside 2 loops that I have here on this side and on this side as well. That's gonna be our raglan line. My next pair of marker gonna go after 10 loops on one side and on the other one. That's gonna be our sleeves. And I'm gonna finish my raglan lines in the back. That's gonna be our back raglan lines. And I'm gonna place those markers after 2 loops on each side. So now our markers for raglan line are in places and we can knit the first row. First row after casting on loops will be knitting on the wrong side of our work. We'll follow the sequence that is shown on the screen. We're not gonna do any increases in this row. We'll be making increases only on the right side of our work. Start point for this row is shown on the left side of our diagram and end point on the right. So this is our first row after casting on, and first loop we're not gonna knit in every row, so we're just gonna take it on our working needle, and next 14 stitches we'll knit in garter stitch. So 14 stitches are done, plus the ones that we just took. And next stitch, I want a purl because I want to divide somehow my strap that I have here. I want to divide it from the rest of the knitting. Next 2 loops is our raglan line, and I want it to also be a little bit different from the other patterns that I have, not twisted, so I want to purl them. But before that, I'm just gonna twist those loops to avoid holes, and I'm gonna purl them. This one again, I'm just gonna twist it like that, and I'm gonna purl it. And on the right side of the work I'm gonna be just knitting it, so it's gonna be a little bit visible. Also because it's wrong side of the work, I'm not gonna do any increases on this side. Next loops I'm just gonna continue in garter stitch. My next 2 loops are raglan line and I have to purl them, but before that I'm just gonna twist those loops to avoid holes, and I'm gonna purl them. This one again, I'm just gonna twist it like that, and I'm gonna purl it. In this way it's gonna be more tight and it's not gonna make any holes. After that I'm gonna continue knitting 28 loops before my next markers. For this raglan line I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna purl these 2 loops, but I'm gonna twist my loops first like that. And I'm going to twist this loop as well. Now I'm going to continue with knitting 10 stitches for the sleeves in a garter stitch. Next 2 stitches, our raglan line, we also gonna switch like that and purl. Next loop, which is 16 loop from the beginning, we're gonna purl as well. And the rest of 15 loops I'm gonna do in a garter stitch, except the last one that I'm gonna purl. So this last loop, which is 15th loop, I'm gonna play. That's how our first row looks like. And now I'm gonna switch my markers to the level up. So I switched my markers to the next level. Now we're gonna take a look at our diagram just to see where we have to put our markers to make a short rows. I want to knit short rows because it's gonna help me with shaping the neck and shaping shoulders, and it's gonna look much better than without it. Overall, we'll have 10 short rows. 4 of them gonna be for the shoulders and 6 gonna be for making a neckline. After we take a look at our diagram, I'm gonna show you on my actual knitting where I'm gonna put my markers. Front 32 loops as well as 4 loops of front raglan lines are not gonna be included in our short rows. We'll have 5 turning points on each sleeve and 2 turning points on each shoulder. So overall in the back we'll have 4 turning points. Half of the loops that we have on the sleeves, it's 5 loops, are not gonna be included in short rows as well. Between other turning points on the sleeves we'll have 1 loop. To find out how many loops we should have for our shoulders, we'll divide the number of loops that we have in the back by 2. We'll get 14 because we have 28 loops in the back. Middle 14 loops gonna be our neckline, and they're not gonna be included in our short rows as well. And other 14 loops, that's the loops for our shoulders. So it means that we have 4 loops for each shoulder. Between 2 turning points on the back for our shoulders, we'll leave 4 loops, and between 1 turning point and raglan line in the back, we'll leave 3 loops. First pair of markers for first turning points gonna go on our shoulders. We're gonna count 5 loops on one side. I'm gonna place a marker, and on the other side as well. 5 loops and a marker. So this is 5. We'll do the same on the other side. So 5 loops. Second turning points. It will go right after 1 loop, and we count it from the first turning point. And we'll do the same on the other side. This is our first turning point. And this is our second turning point. Third turning point. So we already have 2 here. We'll add 1 more loop. And here we're gonna place our third turning point. Same we'll do on the other side. 1 loop goes here. And right at this space goes our next turning point. Turning point number 4. 1 more loop. And it goes like that. So now we have 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. On this side as well. So we have 4 now. And what's left, just to place 5th marker right here after next loop in 1, 2 loops here. And that's gonna be our 5th turning point. This is our raglan line, and here we have our 5 turning points. 5 loops first turning point, 1 loop second, 1 loop third, 1 loop fourth, and 1 loop fifth. And here goes our 5th turning point. That we have for the sleeves. 5 turning points. Now we have to put 2 turning points on each shoulder on the back. This is our raglan line for the back, this one as well. So we'll count 3 loops from this marker right here from our raglan line, and we'll place our marker right here. On the other shoulder, also our raglan line right here, we'll count 3 loops. And we'll place our marker right beside it. Next pair, I'm gonna go after 4 loops. So we're gonna count 4 loops. And the marker goes right here. We have first marker placed after 3 loops and second after 4. Other side gonna be the same. First marker after 3 loops, second after 4. So now all of our markers are in places and we can start knitting. While we knit, we have to add increases to our raglan lines. We'll be adding 2 increases on each side. Also, we'll be taking off our markers for turning points once we get to them. So we're not going to have as many markers as we have right now at the end. We'll have only 4 raglan lines. First, I'm going to show you on diagram how we're going to knit those rows, and after that I'm going to show you in actual knitting what I'm going to be doing. We'll start knitting our short rows on the right side of our work. In every row that we knit on the right side of our work, we'll be doing increases besides our raglan lines. Our start point is on the right side of our diagram, and we'll be knitting till our first turning point, which is on the left hand side. When we'll turn our work, we'll be knitting on the wrong side of our work till the first turning point on the opposite side. Then again we'll turn our work and we'll be knitting to the second point on the opposite side. After we turn our work again, we'll be knitting till the second turning point on the opposite side, and again turn our work and knit till the next turning point. We'll continue till we have 6 rows done for our neckline. And now, as you can see, we have already 6 rows on our diagram. So that's going to be the point where we're going to start knitting short rows for our shoulders. And from that point, we'll be knitting till our first turning point on our shoulder. We'll turn our work and we'll knit till our fourth turning point on the sleeve. From that point, we'll knit to our second turning point on the shoulder, and we'll go back till our last turning point on the sleeve. Now one side of our work is done, and we have to knit till our turning point on the sleeve on the opposite side and finish 4 rows for the shoulders. So from this point on the diagram, we have to knit 4 rows, and we'll be knitting them exactly in the same way as we knitted on the first side. So from the fourth turning point on the sleeve, we'll knit till our first turning point on the shoulder. We'll go back and we'll finish our next short row. From that point, when we reach our second turning point on the shoulder, we'll finish our row by just finishing it till the very end. Right now on the diagram you see all 10 rows, and that was a preview of how we're going to be knitting our 10 rows on the knitting now. So we're going to make a first short row. We'll be making increases besides our raglan line, and we'll make this short row till our first turning point, which is right here. It's on the sleeve, and it's 5 loops right before our raglan line for the front. First loop we're not going to knit, we're just going to slide it to our working needle. Next 14 stitches, next 14 loops, I'm gonna knit in garter stitch. Next loop, which is loop number 16 from our beginning, I'm gonna knit on this side, and I will be purling it on the opposite side. That's how I'm gonna divide our strap from the rest of the knitting. We have 2 loops of our raglan line, and we have to make an increase. So to make an increase, I'm gonna grab this yarn right here, and I'm gonna place it on my left needle in this way. Now I have to knit it, so I'm going inside my loop, taking the yarn and pulling it through. So in this way I just have twisted loop, which gonna help me to eliminate this space here and not gonna make a big hole. And now I'm just gonna knit these 2 loops. It's our raglan line. Now I have to make another increase. I'm gonna make a left increase. So I'm gonna place my yarn in this way. I'm gonna go inside, and I'm gonna grab my yarn and put it like that. That's gonna be make the left increase. Now I'm gonna continue knitting these 5 loops to my next marker. I have these markers here, but I'm not gonna take them right now. I'm just gonna continue knitting. So now I'm besides again my raglan line, next raglan line, and now I have to make an increase again. I'm just gonna place my yarn that I took from previous round in this way. And I'm gonna need it, that's gonna be make the right increase. Increase is done. Now I'm gonna need 2 loops that are my raglan line. I'm gonna take this yarn, it's yarn from previous round, I'm gonna place it like that. And I'm gonna use this way. That's gonna be make the left increase. And I'm gonna need till my next raglan line on the back right here. Now I'm at my raglan line and I have to make an increase. I'm gonna take this yarn, place it on the left needle. It's a little tight. So one inside, grabbing the yarn and pulling through. I'm gonna need next 2 loops, which are my raglan line. And I'm gonna make another increase. So I'm gonna take this yarn that is right here, I'm gonna place it on the left needle, and I'm gonna knead it like that. And I will continue my row till this point right here, till my marker, it's my first turning point. I have exactly 5 loops till my raglan line, that's exactly where I want to be, my turning point. I'm gonna take off this marker, I don't need it anymore. Now on this side I have 4 turning points left, and I'm gonna turn my work on the other side. This is my wrong side of the work, and I'm starting second short row. Before that, I'm just gonna take this loop, which I have to knead, but I'm not gonna knead it. So I placed it on my working needle and I just tied it like that. It's still one loop, it's just really tight. And I'm gonna leave my marker here because I still need it. This is my 4th turning point that I'm not gonna take yet. I already took one and it was 5th turning point right here. I will continue knitting till my next turning point, which is gonna be right here on this side, and it's gonna be turning point number 5 on the other sleeve. I'm not gonna do any increases because this is my wrong side of the work, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna need increasers that I already did on the right side on my first short row. Make sure that this one is tied here and knit as regular everything else. So now I reached my 5th marker on the other side, and this is my next turning point. I have here 6 loops left till my next raglan line. That's exactly it's supposed to be because I did 1 increase and I have 5 loops that I left. So now I can just take off this marker and turn my work. Second short row is done. So we can start row number 3, which we're gonna need till our next turning point on the other sleeve. This turning point is right here. It's our 2nd marker. So we'll have right now 4 markers. One we already took off, and this is the next one that we have to take off. And in this row we have to make increasers. But first let's make our turning point. So I'm not gonna need this loop. I'm just gonna take it to other needle and I'm gonna twist it. I'm gonna twist it like that, so we'll see 2 loops. It's actually 1 loop, but we're just gonna see it like that. So I finished my row number 3. I'm taking my marker off. I don't need it anymore. And we already have our first turning point right here. So that's gonna be our 2nd turning point. Now we're turning our work. So this is row number 4, and it's our wrong side of the work. We're not gonna do any increases here, and we'll just knit everything as the pattern says. First loop, I'm not gonna knit, so I'm taking this loop and I'm just gonna twist it like that. Later I'm gonna show you how we're gonna knit them. I will continue knitting till my next marker that is on the other side on the sleeve. It's gonna be this marker, and it's just besides our turning points that we already did. And our last stitch, so now we can take our marker off. And now we can turn our work. And this is row number 5, and we have to knit till this point. We have right now on the other side 3 turning points, so we have to knit to the one that is furthest. This is my front side, and here I'm just gonna make all increases I need besides our raglan line. And I needed till my marker here. That's going to be marker number 3. And I'm going to just take it off. Now I can turn my needle on the other side. Row number 6, and I'm going to knit this row till this point right here. On the other side till my marker number 3. This is wrong side of the work, so I don't need to make increases. I'm just going to knit as pattern says me. With row number 7, so with short row number 7, we're gonna start making shoulder lines. So right now we are here. From here, I'm gonna knit to the first point on my shoulder here. It's gonna be really short row. It's right side of the work. I'm gonna add increases as well. Next row, we'll knit till this marker. This is our marker number 4. We have right now 2 markers left on our sleeve, and we'll knit to this one. That was row number 8. Now we're gonna knit row number 9. It's gonna be also our shoulder short row. We're gonna knit till this point. 1 marker that it's left on our shoulder. Because it's right side of the work, we'll add increasers besides our raglan line. And now we reached our turning point on the shoulder that we just did in the last row. And I'm gonna show you that we'll knit it the same way as I'm doing my twisted loops. So, and we reached our marker for the shoulder line. Just gonna take it off and we'll turn our work. And we have to knit one more row, and it's gonna be row number 10, and it's gonna be last row that we have. And we'll knit till to this point, till the marker that we have, only 1 marker that we have on the sleeve. We don't need to make any increases because it's wrong side of our work. So now we have all the 10 rows on this side here, but we have to complete 4 more rows on this side because we already did 6 here, and we have to complete 4 more for the shoulder lines. From this point, we're gonna knit to our sleeve marker on this side. So we'll start here and we'll finish here. So next row that we're gonna make from this marker to this one, to the closest to us. That's how we're gonna be making our shoulder line. We knitting from here till this point. We're not doing any increases on the wrong side of the work. Next short row, we're gonna knit from this point to the marker that is left on our sleeve, and we'll make increases here. Now from this our turning point, we'll knit onto our last marker that left on the shoulder till here. Continue with the pattern, and we're not making increases on this side because this is the wrong side. This was the last really short row, and we have to finish all the way to the end our row. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna turn our work and we'll finish our last short row, but this time we're gonna knit it till the very end. So we're not knitting our first loop here, we're taking it on the other needle and tighten it. It has 2 loops, but it's technically 1 loop. And we'll continue knitting till the very end, right here, till the very end of the row, following the pattern and adding increases because this is the right side of our work. This is right side of the work, and we have right now these bumpy loops, and all of them we're gonna knit taken by their back leg. And we're taking both legs. It's 1 loop, but we're taking both here. And it's gonna be like that. Next one. We'll do the same. And this is how they hide. And we can continue with our pattern. So we're done with our short rows. That's how it looks right now. And let's make another row on the wrong side of the work just to even out everything what we have here and get rid of these bumpy loops on the other side. So no increases in this row because it's a back side. And now I have 5 bumpy loops, which I'm gonna knit, taken by the front 2 legs. Just to remind you that it's our turning point. This is still 1 loop. It just looks like it's 2 loops. And it's 5 loops. Now we can continue our usual way. That's what I have with all my short rows done. I'm gonna continue growing my raglan lines, and my sleeve's gonna get bigger, back as well, and I'm gonna be growing until I reach the underarm. Now I have 17 loops on each sleeve, and I have 40 loops on my back. In the front as well, I have 17 loops.